City Council work study session to order, and will Deputy Mayor Pennington please lead us in the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This doesn't seem like a, can I be heard? No, we need some more volume. No?
Mayor, on the, oh, excuse me, that's
Oh,
what
you
I-
can be heard.
Here, it's good here. Apparently I have all the volume. I was told that those at home can hear us fine. We're having some volume issues here. But everybody at home will be able to hear you just fine.
Okay.
Or come to this microphone, perhaps.
I'll do my best here, folks. And that means when you do speak, you're going to have to pull the microphone that's in front of you close to you. So, Councilmember Nutting and our city manager are out tonight because they're not feeling well, and Councilmember Buxton is unable to attend tonight's meeting. So, is there a motion to excuse both Councilmember Buxton and Councilmember Nutting?
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Banks, seconded by Councilmember Back. All those in favor, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
That passes 5-0. Excuse me. At this time, we will take comments from the public per Council Rule 10. Comments from the public must be limited to items of business on tonight's agenda because we are in a work study. When I call your name, please come to the podium, state your name, and the city in which you live. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Our first speaker is Sheila Brush.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Oh boy, this is loud. I'm going to break out in song. So thank you. My name is Sheila Brush. I am a resident of Des Moines. I'm also your representative on the Des Moines Aviation Committee and your representative on the SeaTac Advisory Committee up at SeaTac Airport. We have a roundtable to talk about these growing issues. I'm also the founder of Quiet Skies. So it's kind of duality because I advocate, but I also have to learn the process. So I'm here to talk about the disconnect of what is going on. And I only have 2 minutes, so I'm going to be really quick. In 2005, there was a Washington Aviation System Plan. We are repeating what has been going on since 2009, and I'm glad Senator Kaiser is here because she was able to pass in 2009. I know it is deja vu. A bill. Actually, the bill didn't get passed, 5121, but what happened was they adopted the language on 6304. And in a nutshell, what it did is it identified that we need a new regional airport by 2030, that we're going to be at capacity. And I think now they've stretched it, but they recognized back then of what it was doing to the communities. Well, they didn't recognize. Senator Kaiser recognized of what was missing from this aviation study that they did, which we're doing right now, was not identifying the schools, not identifying the communities, not identifying the impacts to health. The same thing is happening again. I had the good fortune of talking directly with commissioners, and I asked them, why is there not citing a new regional airport on your legislative agenda? And their answer is because we're waiting for the PSRC. Well, the problem with the Puget Sound Regional Council, which is the mothership of all councils, is they eliminated the citing of a new regional airport from their body of work. So we are playing kick the can down the road. I will give thanks to our mayor because at the last Highline Forum, when we had the representative Josh Brown from the PSRC give a presentation on the study that they're doing, which was a ridiculous, watered-down PR campaign for the port. He, at his time to speak, was very direct with the Puget Sound Regional Council, asking what happened. When we met with you, you were going to have citing another regional airport in this study. You remove that. Unfortunately, Commissioner Feldman interrupted the conversation and moved on to the next person, so our mayor could not have open dialogue that was viewed by the public on the disconnect of what happened. And I'll tell you what happened. You can do records request. The port has such an incredible influence on every elected official, whether they know it or not. The power of the port has become too big. The only thing that we can do is become together, become stronger, and recognize the bullying that's going on. I know currently our council member, Matt Mahoney, he sits on a board called the Skateboard. It's a skateboard as all the regional South Sound cities have come together. He once again is trying to get on this legislative agenda the siting of another regional airport. We tried last year with Councilwoman Debbie Wagner, who is very fluent in airport issues, with Council Member Peter Kwan from the city of SeaTac, again, very fluent in airport issues. We were shot down. We were told no. In fact, our own Dave Kaplan voted against, actually he's not our own because now he works for the port. Dave Kaplan, former mayor, former council person who sat up there time and time again that we need another regional airport, he said no to putting it on the legislative agenda. It was so shocking we did a records request. And in that records request, we discovered the back and forth from the government affairs liaison that worked for the Port of Seattle, the lobbyists for the Port of Seattle, and all the local council people on the different committees asking them not to put it on their legislative agenda. These relationships need to end. They're not relationships. The Port of Seattle is bullies. Time and time again, it's evident in the ACE Fund, and I'm going to wrap up. The ACE Fund, the $1 million tree fund that we were given because they have pulverized our tree canopy, $1 million. It just came out today in a press release. The cities will receive 550. All the rest, 450,000, will go to admin and PR. It is time to wake up. It is time to play hardball. It is time to come together. Thank you.
Speaker is Ann Croker.
Thank you for fixing the system for me. I was going to talk about the 2010. This is what happens when you leave your glasses at home. 2019 legislative priorities. Thank you for the for your upcoming, which is on your agenda. And whoa, I wrote that. So I was actually referring to the letter that you just had published in the City Current. So that seemed to be useful to use that as a guideline. But really, what I wanted to say is that the airport lobbyist could be doing. I'm not going to talk about the current what you have as priorities, but what they could do in addition, because I think siting is so multi-pronged that they need to have other subjects ready to go, and any of them that came from the letters, like following through on the past agreements for the third runway use. Any place where the port meeting is at, anywhere there's a port lobbyist, we need one there. The Puget Sound Regional Council, for sure, the meetings as they go forward, the Highline Forum showed very clearly what they needed for pushback. Anything to do with the state legislative meetings that has to do with aviation, anything that might have to do with the congressional action, like with the aviation impacted communities. I think it's Department of Ecology that does the monitoring, getting a relationship there to get so I guess what I was just trying to say is, like, anything that we have started or that the city has started, to be able to push it through and continue to do that. And also, the other one was, like, be there wherever, and maybe this doesn't go down one topic, but maybe it just shows that we have the presence. And that was it. Thank you, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Liz Byrne.
Thank you, Mayor, for the article outlining our city's needs regarding CTAC and its responsibilities in the winter 2019 city currents. Really appreciate it. That was a great article. And I passed it on to all my neighbors. Thank you, council. Please continue working for our residents' health and future. Thank you, Quiet Skies Advisory members, for your hard work and dedication. We do need a second regional airport. We do need flight curfew over our city. I have a question. Where are the closest air quality monitors located? We don't have any in Des Moines. We need them here. And happy holidays to everybody. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mr. J.C. Harris.
I would ask the council for the coming year to focus on having a full-time aviation professional. You have to have somebody who's working full-time. Every time that I'm in Olympia, there's a guy there on every issue representing the port's interest. The unions are there representing the port's interests. They are a force. And as I have looked back through the decades, every time the port goes ahead with a construction plan, the community swings boldly into action, as we're doing now, to try to respond. But that's already 5 to 10 years too late. The port, by the time we get to these open houses and all of these pleasant chats we're having, has already made and implemented their plans. We cannot respond effectively to the port without having an ongoing effort. And that means having a full-time person who works on airport issues constantly. If there is one thing that I could get across, it is the notion that we must decouple our efforts in dealing with the airport from any construction plan that the port puts forth. What we do now is we react. Every time they decide to build, we respond, and it's a sucker's bet. And as far as a second airport, that's fine, but the reason there hasn't been a second airport is not only because of the port's effort, but look around at your sister cities. They don't feel the need for that second airport. And unless you fight at the state level and build a coalition, which you need that aviation lobbyist to do, you will never get the other cities to support you to get that airport. It's not just fighting against the port. You have to get the cities to work with you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That completes our list of speakers that have signed up to address the study session items. So I'm going to move forward to emerging issues. I'm sorry. Oh.
I came in late, Mr. Mayor. Is there a chance I can jump in?
Yes.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council, members of our state legislative delegation. I'm Steve Edmiston. Just quickly, I have a comment that is very specifically related to the agenda that I understand is on the table tonight with respect to establishing our 2019 legislative agenda. And I was looking at the documents in our website, and I just wanted to kind of go through a little bit of process just to make one point at the end. And that process is, you know, looking at our website coverage and thinking about this in terms of organizational structure. You know, we're here and we talk about our vision and mission, and it essentially, that vision and mission are all ways of saying protect our quality of life. That's number one. And then it trickles down to our goals, and our goals are include protect people and prosperity, and our goals include protect the natural environment. And that makes sense to us when we talk about the airport issues. That trickles directly down to what we have identified as our short-term and our long-term objectives for our city, which include two things. One is the siting of the regional airport that we've already heard about, right? And has been on our legislative agenda for years and years and years. And second is to oppose further expansion or growth at SeaTac Airport until they have mitigated what has already happened. Okay, so that's the important second part. And why I bring that up is we go back to last year's legislative agenda in 2018. Those two bullets are on the agenda. One bullet when we talk about the airport is the siting of the regional airport, and the other bullet is to continue to oppose expansion or increase in operations at SeaTac until the current impacts, including health and noise, are adequately mitigated. So that legislative agenda then trickles down. If you look at our intergovernmental policies and procedures for 2018, and you look at numbers 23 and 28, and guess what those two bullets are? Stop, get a sited regional airport and oppose further expansion of the airport until we get the mitigation that we need now. And then that trickles down, right? So this permeates our DNA. It's been that way for years. On the 2019 legislative agenda that you're going to consider tonight, I was a little surprised that instead of two bullets, there was only one. And the one bullet was cite the regional airport. And the second bullet that says, and oppose further expansion of SeaTac Airport until we mitigate what has already happened to us, isn't there. I'm guessing it's probably an oversight, and I just want to, that's my point. I encourage you, if it's not an oversight, or if it is an oversight, to bring it back in. That's so important, because as Mr. Harris said, these are different animals. The regional airport's one issue. Everything else we need to do to stop that expansion or to mitigate the current effects, whether it's nighttime flights, whether it's how we do the glide slope paths, whether it's what Ms. Craker has talked about. There's a whole bunch of things. So I just encourage you, put it back in. If it was intentional, if it was an oversight, put it in so our representatives in Olympia know exactly what our agenda is. Bam, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I will move us forward at this time to emerging issues. And we have one of our local issues with the Adriana. We have Mr. David Baus here. Go ahead.
Hi, Mayor and Council. Thanks for allowing me to have this time. Been a developer for a very long time. I've never experienced a city such as Des Moines, and this is the first time I've ever done this in my 25 years. You are blessed with a building department and a development department with strong people. That project had its issues, and your city stepped up and helped us get through them. And if it wasn't for key people, the Larrys and the Als and the Dan and the utility guys, that project may have not have happened. And so I wanted to come and thank you, one, for supporting such a cause as affordable housing, but then two, taking the time and energy and coming together as a for-profit and a city municipality and making something happen. You are blessed. I have never in my 25 years experienced the amount of support and just the amount of support and working out the issues, because we had issues, we had huge issues, and the city staff was amazing. Tony, who's no longer with us or with the city, very early on was very instrumental on making this. It's not easy doing these deals. It's not easy doing the right thing. And when the city and the private sector get together, amazing things can happen. And I tell you what, you have some great soldiers that work really hard on making this a reality. And I just wanted to come and say, hey, we're glad to be here. The building filled up in 90 days, so there's definitely was a huge need for it. And thank you for allowing us to be in your city. and to be supportive. And I just, I should have come down here months ago, and, you know, I just wanted to say Merry Christmas and thanks again for all the hard work your city and city staff do to make Des Moines a better and stronger community. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you very much. We're glad you're here. It takes us forward to the police and citizen acknowledgement. This is one of the fun aspects of the job on the council, when we get to recognize some folks for outstanding work. I just have some things I want to read here, because I think the magnitude of the story bears paying attention to the words. In the early evening of October 28th, 2018, a vehicle entered the frigid waters of Puget Sound from a boat ramp at Redondo. Several Des Moines police officers responded to the 911 call. When Master Police Officer Doug Wiebel arrived, he could see the car floating in the water just a few yards from the boat ramp. Seeing a citizen in the water attempting to rescue any occupants in the vehicle, Master Police Officer Wiebel removed his police gear, put on his personal flotation device, and entered the water. Master Police Officer Wiebel swam to the vehicle and tried to get the driver of the vehicle out. Neither he nor the citizen were able to remove the driver before the vehicle sank. A dive team arrived and was able to remove the only occupant from the car, who was then transported to a local hospital. Right after that call, still soaking wet from the freezing cold water, Police Officer Wiebel then responded to another high-priority incident, which happened to have been the unfortunate homicide at Redondo Square. It's my honor to present this award of merit to Master Police Officer Doug Wiebel, and to recognize him for his efforts to rescue the occupant of the vehicle in the water in Redondo on October 28, 2018. I'd also like to thank and acknowledge the citizen who I was told drove off the fishing pier when he saw the car in the water and the citizen that tried to help get the other people out. Sorry, I twisted my words. We've tried many times to contact this individual and let them know that we wanted to recognize them, but we haven't been successful. We will continue to reach out to them. But the bottom line is, it's humbling, but it's a great opportunity to say thank you. So tonight, I would like to present this award of merit to Master Police Officer Doug Wiebel in recognition for his efforts to rescue the occupants of the vehicle in the water in Redondo on October 28, 2018. And now I will, boy, that doesn't seem like enough. You know what? Sorry, I get hung up on that. So now I will give the podium over to Sherry Verberg.
Well, hi. Mayor Pina, City Council members, city staff, and guests. I'm Sherry Verberg, 2018 Chair of the Des Moines Arts Commission, and I'm joined by Vice Chair Michelle Fawcett and our 2019 Chair-elect, Marcus Williams, and we are here to do an update to City Council. So, this was our 2018 commission and our support staff, our advisors. Best volunteer group I think I've ever worked with. It was an amazing year, and Councilmember Bangs and Susan Cesar and Shannon Kirchberg certainly provided all of the direction, support, and encouragement, allowing us to continue on and do our mission here in the city. So what's our mission, you ask? We decided to establish Des Moines as a center for the arts is crisp and clear, and we repeat it every chance we get. Because our vision in the long term is that Des Moines is recognized for its advancement of vibrant arts and culture, and through all of the activities and projects that we undertake, that's going to enable us to get there. So we established 4 goals on top of that to help guide us this year. The first one, to improve diversity and access to the city through the arts as measured by our surveys. That is an ongoing thing, and that's what Michelle's going to address when we get to our Concerts in the Park segment. Our second, to communicate with the city council on a quarterly basis. We did pretty good, 75% actually, because our second quarter ran right into our third quarter, and we kept saying, well, we'll wait till we complete this, and then we'll come talk, and we'll wait till we complete this. But I know they know we weren't just avoiding it, because they were all at our events all the time, so they know we were keeping busy. So we're here now. And then to increase donations 20% over previous year, because we were hoping to keep raising the level of what we're able to provide to our community. And Michelle will touch on this as well. We more than exceeded that amount, and even more importantly, we exceeded our thoughts for increasing attendance at our events, words getting out. And then to develop a marketing plan, and that is where Marcus in a moment is going to share with you our marketing plan and our social media update. So, these were some of our main events, and we're going to talk about them just briefly one by one, starting with Art at Poverty Bay. When you walked in today, you may have noticed some of the changes going on in the courtyard, so we're going to start there and work back, because the city is going to put in 3 sculptures that, actually I think they're going in next week, and they've been working hard to do that. And one of those sculptures will be Tail Slap by artist Pat McVeigh. It used to be up at 216th by the post office. And so if you come back like in a week, or by next week perhaps, you'll be able to see it. And what a great place, what a great welcoming walking in, and a place for reflection. It's going to be pretty awesome. And then we have multiple sculptures throughout our city, and there is a walking map on our website so that it tells a little about the artist and location. And we do some guided sculpture tours. We're happy to do that. And it's just really exciting that in our city we have access to so much public art. Now, Concerts in the Park, and Michelle Fawcett is going to go over a little bit about this and our survey process. Michelle.
Hi, I had the opportunity to talk to a lot of people in our community at the concerts this year. And one of the things that I found very interesting is how people got the information. A lot of people got their information from the flyer that the city sends out, so I think it's really relevant. Also, Facebook. Those were 2 of the largest things. We had concerts that had 1,400 people, record attendance. The lowest was over 790, so we had a huge audience. Some of the things that we asked were, what would you like to see different in our concert series? And one of the things was a larger beer garden, which we were able to do at the last concert. More food choices was one of the things that people would like, and some people mentioned flipping the concert so that view was of the sound instead of the view that we have. That was one of the things that came up quite a bit. But I think all in all, we had an awesome concert series, and looking forward to seeing it this year too. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. We put this in because this year we were able to get in the parade, in the Waterland Parade, and what I wanted to say about that, it gives an entirely different perspective when you ride in a parade than when you observe it, which I've done for years. But what struck me was an amazing sense of community, all the way from the landmark down through town and up to 216th. Just so many people, and such joy, and people just excited to see, well, what are you guys doing, and what's going on here? And so it was just an amazing experience we had to just share. Oh, and now, so Marcus is going to talk to us about a couple of events, as well as our social media marketing, while you observe the amazing art that's on the screen right now. So, Marcus?
Louisa. You're welcome. A couple of the events that we had were the 2018 Wine and Paint Night, which wine and paint night, yeah. And so that actually had a really good turnout. We had a maximum capacity of 50 people that we could allow. And I think we came pretty close to hitting that. And it's also kind of the first attempt that we had at doing any sort of kind of outbound marketing digitally. It was our first opportunity to run, I think $25 or $30 worth of Facebook ads. And, we saw kind of an immediate increase in ticket sales from, maybe having one or two sales to literally in a week being almost sold out. So that's definitely an event that we'll probably bring back next year or this coming year. Squidorama, oh yeah, so unfortunately we forgot the slide for Squidorama, but also another great event. It's kind of an all-in-one, all-inclusive, art project with the squid also getting released back into the sound, and we had over 300 people show up. Literally, probably half of them standing outside in 40-degree weather waiting to get in, which was impressive because they stayed and they waited and everybody eventually got in, and hopefully we can figure out how to get more people into the Mass Center next year so that we don't have as many people waiting outside. But again, that's another one of our events that we, kind of used Facebook to put the word out there, and it looks like it worked. These are kind of some of the metrics for our Facebook. This is really the first year that the Art Commission has utilized social media to do outreach. We started the year with 689 followers, ended it with 964, which is great, but not so much of a concern to us because we're more so concerned about the engagement with the community and not so much are they following the page. And then at the top you can see we did a complete redo of the website, and that'll have all of the events, kind of a breakdown of our mission statement, our values, who's on the commission. So, we just got a real refresh of digital marketing this year, which was nice, and I think that we can all agree that we saw a pretty good return on that. So, I think that's it for me.
Thank you. Thank you, Marcus. Well, kind of a challenge and yet really good news. We have openings on our commission next year for commissioners, and it's cool because we just need someone who loves Des Moines, who has a passion for the arts and wants to make a difference in the community. And so you can see up there to do contact Marcus, and he's also putting that out on social media. It's going to be just, I say, an epic year next year for a multitude of reasons, which I'll go into briefly in a moment. One of which is, so look at all this. In October, we had a workshop to look at, all right, here's all the things that we've done, and then to talk about, well, now that the city has kindly allocated us a nice budget for next year, what else might we do that would give us the most bang for the buck and bring more people into our wonderful city? And so you, or someone that you know that may want to apply as a commissioner, could be part of this effort to up the game in the arts in Des Moines and help us on our mission to establish Des Moines as a center for the arts. So, in closing, on behalf of the Arts Commission, we want to especially thank our mayor and our city council. We believe you get it, And honestly, the connection between art and community and economic development, and just giving us the opportunity to do all of our good work and just interact with so much of our community. So thank you, and thank you all too. Okay.
I would like to take this moment to thank all the folks who have worked on the Art Commission, Senior Services, and Human Services Committees. There are several members that, where their service is expiring. Unfortunately, they're not here tonight, but we do have one person who is, and she just put on this great presentation, and I just knocked the certificate out of the folder. Hey, Bonnie.
Happy to.
Okay. Pause for a technical issue, please. So it's my pleasure at this time to award Sherry Verberg the Certificate of Appreciation from the city. You did an outstanding job. You really did. And you can tell by the company that you've brought with you and the way you have brought the program forward is just amazing. Thank you very, very much.
Oh, you're so welcome.
I'll come up with pictures, so we got a hold of it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Let's see. Council, we have a few quick items of business so we can get on to our main agenda item tonight. We have an Arts Commission appointment, and so there's a motion to confirm the mayoral appointment of Ray Fernandez to an unexpired term on the City of Des Moines Art Commission effective immediately and expiring on December 31st, 2020. Is there a motion? Motion made by Councilmember Bangs, seconded by Councilmember Mahoney. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. The next item that we have, because we will not, this is our last meeting of 2018, is we have a motion to approve payment of vouchers and payroll transfers through November 28th of 2018 as shown in the packet. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Recognize Councilmember Back, seconded by Councilmember Mahoney. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Okay. This takes us forward to the discussion of our City Council legislative priorities. First of all, I want to thank all of our legislative representatives for taking time out of their very busy schedules to come here tonight. And would you like to start the conversation?
Yeah, I'll just kick off. In the packet, we've identified 3 legislative priorities for the city for 2019. I'll cover the first one here, which is the North Marina Bulkhead Project. In 2018, we were authorized $2 million from the state legislature as part of the capital budget. At this point, the project is about 60% complete in design, and we're working on our permits. Hope to be under construction on the project mid-2019. The issue that we have is that the appropriation expires at the end of June 2019, so we'll need to get the $2 million reauthorized as part of the budgeting process for next year. We believe that's an administrative process through the Department of Commerce, but if there's issues with that, we may need some help on making sure that the funding that we have to complete the north bulkhead stays in place. So here, this diagram, you can see the north bulkhead that we're talking about. Everything in red is what we're planning to go to construction with next year. And then phase 2 to kind of complete the bulkhead work is currently unfunded. We'll pick that up once the north bulkhead is complete. So the focus right now is just to get our current appropriation reappropriated into the next biennium so we can construct the project.
Before we move forward, we're going to describe what's on our legislative priorities, but this is our Chief Operations Officer, Dan Brewer, who didn't introduce himself yet. So for those of you who may not know him, I wanted to make sure you did get his name. And now I'm going to turn it over to our city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. Tim George, City Attorney for Des Moines. I'm going to talk about the next two. So SCORE, for those that don't know, is the South Correctional Entity Regional Jail, and it's located in the city of Des Moines. But there's 7 member cities. And currently SCORE has a contract with the Department of Corrections to house administrative violators for the DOC. And under state law, the maximum amount per night per inmate is capped. So the maximum that DOC can pay to SCORE is capped at $85 per night. Member cities, as we're an owner, we pay more than that. And so do the contract cities that contract with us to house their inmates there. So essentially at this point, the city as well as the other cities are subsidizing the inmates from the Department of Corrections. SCORE needs Department of Corrections inmates, but the subsidy is creating an unsustainable situation. So I'm going to hand this out. This is a worksheet that we have that provides some additional background on this topic. But the big ask at the state legislature will be to amend those caps so that the Department of Corrections can pick up additional costs to pay for the actual costs of what the stays are. And there's a couple issues that are identified in there, but that is one of the asks at the state level. And currently the city is working with a coalition, including all of the SCORE cities, to push this issue. The final issue is, as the public was here and discussed, is citing a second regional airport in Washington. I would like to thank the city has an aviation advisory committee. 2 of those members spoke tonight. I would like to thank Steve Edmiston and Sheila Brush for speaking on this issue. Additionally, those members that didn't speak tonight, Dr. Wendy Gioria, Mark Prowl, and David Clark, have been especially helpful in identifying and helping to address airport issues for the city. As the council heard and as our state legislators heard, this is a very important issue for our residents. And it has been an important issue going back historically. And the position of the city is that the city believes it's a critical aspect of providing relief for airport impacts that a second regional airport be sited outside of this region. And just for the council to address the issue that was brought up by our aviation advisory member, Steve Edmiston, the issues that are identified tonight are specifically the issues that the city council is asking our state legislators to work at the state level. The issue of opposing further airport growth is an issue that the city council, the staff, as well as our aviation advisory committee has made clear will be a priority moving forward. So that completes our summary of these 3 issues that were identified for discussion tonight.
So there's a couple pieces that I think, in the past, we've had a very long list for you. And I believe in one of your first visits here, you said, really like to know what you really want to focus on, because there's a lot of stuff, and I'm sure that with other cities around, you all get very long lists, okay? We are looking at, these are the key issues for the city of Des Moines. It's not to say that those other issues aren't important, but these are really paramount. And on the, I'm gonna make the airport issues the third portion that I want to talk about. But, you know, the marina, it's essential to this region for emergency management. And that support is really, really necessary. I think recently we have understood that we may be able to get the extension through an administrative act, but we may need your support if it's not as easy as we're being led to believe. Is that correct? Okay. I mean, aside from the emergency management, which is absolutely paramount to this region, in terms of we can land helicopters there, we can fuel vehicles, we have 30,000 additional gallons of fuel there, we can refill those tanks from the water side if the land side is unavailable. There's a variety of things that we can do there. From the score issue, you know, the biggest challenge is this imbalance, the $85 a day cap. It's more than just misdemeanor incarcerations. There's a series of services that SCORE has a tendency to provide. And it is noted a cafeteria style model. So if someone comes in and they need, you know, drug treatment or something like that, that should be an additional cost. The bottom line is, though, the differentiation between the $85 and per night, and what's our cost on that one?
Our cost varies based on the overall cost.
Okay.
But the contract cities are between 124 and 180 a day, and ours is probably in that range as well.
And what that causes is a huge gap. So the member cities and the other participants are having to pay more. And frankly, that's led to Federal Way making the decision that they're pulling out. And please.
One more thing to add. So our annual costs at SCORE, even though our average daily population has remained around the same, has doubled. So we were paying around $450,000 a few years ago. This year, we're going to be paying close to $900,000.
So, and then on the second regional airport, yeah, I appreciated Sheila Brush talking about the fact that I did try to bring this out. There's an enormous issue within the community, because when PSRC came forward and that second regional airport siting was in the study, and then it got taken out, the trust of the community is gone. They've already been trying to regain some trust because of the way the third runway happened. And there were moments of being optimistic. Well, because of where things stand right now, there isn't a lot of faith and there isn't a lot of trust. And so we are looking to our leaders, both in DC and at Olympia, for help. The eroding community confidence, the expansion of CTAC right now can be having an impact on some of our development and in the business park. And just where we stand right now, this is a great challenge, but we're doing well. And keep in mind, you know, the goal of this council and this administration is to secure Des Moines' future and make us sustainable and make us no longer the city of potential, but the city with realized potential. And these are key issues that are preventing us, or at least making it very difficult and extremely expensive to get there. So enough from us. One of the things that I want to ask is, is putting it in this shorter format helpful? And would you like to see something else, or is there more that you need? I do want to follow up on Steve Edmondson's comment. The opposition of SeaTac expansion, as our city attorney said, we will continue to address. However, I do think that if there's work that can be done at the Olympia level to say, or at the DC level that says, no, you can't go forward until you've mitigated what you're already doing, then that's something that we would definitely ask for. I'm looking around the table, seeing nods. So again, I at this point want to hear your impressions now. You waited very patiently, and now we hit you with the list.
Push the button, get going here. Thank you for inviting us, updating us, and keeping us in the conversation. I know the airport is on the top line of all of our thinking, but just to step back and reassure you, I'm quite confident we can get the bulkhead funding reauthorized. Just continue to work with me on that and clarify why we haven't spent it all yet. So that we know there's a reason. One of them, obviously, that the capital budget was delayed, and so that's a good reason. But any other hang-ups or obstacles we need to know about. And also give me a heads up, if you would, about what your phase 2 likelihood of an ask will be, so I can sort of put that in the queue for the next capital budget coming down the road. So backing up to that. On the score problem, it is a problem. It's a really serious problem. I think the additional ask of a $7 million ask will be a very hard, heavy lift. And we're going to have to figure out some alternatives to that. I don't know what that is. I'm no expert on jails, but I'll work with you on seeing what we can do to mitigate. I'm sorry to hear that Federal Way is not partnering. That the more cities we have, obviously, in the mix, the better we can all share the costs and opportunities. So that's a step backwards. Maybe we can step forward some other way. Now, to the airport. As you know, I've been working on this one for a long time. We did this study in 2009 that included that there should be planning for a second regional airport. There has been a reluctance to admit to that. So one other thing that we've done is to help fund and get Paine Field operational for passenger service. It will start in early 2018 with 24 flights a day. And we've worked very hard to get that up and functional. Once it gets to 24 flights, it will increase, and Paine Field will increase incrementally. We will, I don't think, get to a full second regional airport, but it will grow. So let's focus on helping that facility get operational for more passenger service over the next few years. The other element of the airport that I've been working with Representative Rorwall on is to make a case, a strong case, about the disadvantage our communities are facing in our health and safety. We have an ultrafine particulate study underway. My ask going into this next session will be to undertake a full-scale public health study of our airport communities with the King County Public Health Department, as well as the UW Department of Environmental Science and Occupational Science. So the vision right now is to complete the ultrafine study, take those findings, and then begin the public health survey, and then take those two reports and put them on the table for mitigation, as well as for the argument that we are disproportionately disadvantaged as citizens of our state by the burden of operations and continued growth at SeaTac Airport. That gives us, I think, both legislative standing and also legal standing if we want to pursue legal action. and that's another option. We've done that before. It has its effects, it's very costly, but it also has its effects, and we can judge over time here whether we want to go down that road, but it's an option to consider. I'll stop talking. Could I just introduce my new colleague?
I was just going to say, these conversations are oftentimes, because we see each other around, they're very casual, and I'm terribly sorry. Can we just because we have cameras and people at home,
Right,
we'll
right.
see you. You probably ought to raise your hand State Representative Mia Gregerson, State Senator Karen Kaiser, State Representative Mia Gregerson, and Tina Orwell. Oh my gosh. Mia, you're here twice. I can't believe I did that. Wow. Okay, sleep is really a commodity these
And
days.
my new colleague is Senator Claire Wilson from the 30th District.
Thank you. And I want to introduce from Congressman Adam Smith's office, his district representative, Miss Shakisha Ross. So thank you. And then we have our legislative advocates here. We have Connor Edwards and Anthony Hepstead. One of the things I'd like to do, I'm going to take this microphone and move it over closer to Shakisha so we can keep going. But go ahead and go next.
Can I jump in?
Yes, please.
Well, first I want to say thank you. We really appreciate our partnership with the City of Des Moines, and I know there's so many important issues that we work on together, so I want to thank you for your leadership and for the community participation as well. It's a pretty incredible community we have here. So I just want to, second what Senator Kaiser said about the capital budget. We don't see that being it seems like we can really move forward on that. The airport stuff, there is a lot going on there, and we're in a number of meetings, and I do want to acknowledge Congressman Adam Smith's office. They've been great partners with us because really a lot of things we're looking at really involve local, state, and federal government partnerships. And so the one thing I would kind of build on, just to kind of clarify, the ultrafine particle study is an 18-month study, and we started last January. So it's got another 6 months to go, but I really appreciate Karen partnering up and saying, we're going into a full budget cycle. We need to go after the dollars that we need for some of the next steps now, right, and not wait till the report's actually done. So so I think knowing that we need the Department of Health to step in, right now we have money at the state level, and they're looking at articles related to the impact of ultrafine particles, but we do need to go and look at our region as far as health conditions. And so I don't think that'll be all the recommendations that come out of that study, but that's one we wanted to make sure there was money in the budget. There's also the airport impact study going on, and I really appreciate it's been a great partnership of the cities and the community, and I wasn't able to go to the last meeting, but I know we're trying to look at the scope of work and next steps, and that's another opportunity as a community to really look at both the impact but also the opportunities we have to really make sure that the community gets what it needs and other opportunities. The one thing that Senator Kaiser didn't really mention as well is the cargo. Because the cargo study, which I think was your bill.
It was.
But we all three of us have been participating in that. There's some next steps going into the session around Department of Commerce and having someone who's designated to work on this issue. I think there's some exciting opportunities. I mean, having participated, Moses Lake is very excited about this and being a location. So we want the Department of Commerce to be working with other locations. They may need some additional infrastructure and things to make that happen. So I just wanted to kind of highlight that as well.
Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on and a lot of community involvement, and I think trying to figure out these partnerships, because there's going to be a lot of next steps, and I appreciate Sheila, we got to kind of manage all this, right, to make sure we're all moving in the right direction, because there's going to be a lot of advocacy with all of our partners coming. The last thing is on the score. This is kind of the first time seeing it. It would be helpful to have a lot more information. That's a pretty big price tag, and so I don't know if you'll be doing a joint ask from the other cities, but I feel like I need to kind of learn more to be able to advocate effectively on that. So,
We'll get you additional information on that.
okay, thank you. And I don't know, at some point, if you want to hear other things we're working on that we think may potentially impact the area
Welcome to bring it up.
site. You know, some other issues, one is a lot of people are struggling with property taxes, so there's work, some of our members are looking at the expansion of some of assistance to like seniors and other people that may be struggling with property taxes. I'm working on a tax lien foreclosure bill to allow protection for homeowners that are struggling. Of course, we're all advocating to maybe give some property tax relief because we've seen such increases for next session. The other thing that I'm working on and closely with our police chiefs and the community is youth and firearms. We have a lot of incidents in this area. So we are looking, and Prosecutor Dan Satterberg co-chairs a committee with me looking at this. And we're trying to come up with like a three-pronged strategy that would be early prevention, especially the resources we're giving to our schools. It would also be intervention for early on when there's an incident where youth has a firearm, that we're really wrapping really comprehensive services, and then more tools for law enforcement. So we're working on that bill, and again, I've reached out to a lot of community partners in the area to give us feedback of how to proceed. And then the last thing I would mention is language access with the schools. We need more support around interpreter services, not only access to interpreters, but how they're trained, and have more of a community involvement to really engage our families. So that's another issue.
Representative Orwell, I really appreciate you going forward with the youth and guns program and bill. It was brought to my attention, and I'm looking at our law enforcement. I heard that there have to be 5 incidences.
Yes, and the bill will address that. Yeah.
Great, that's huge.
I think one of the things, and I got this from Chief Padella in Kent, actually, was whether we need to do kind of a special court. You know how we have like mental health and drug court? Maybe there needs to be one around youth and firearms that we really could maybe pilot in South King County and maybe Yakima to really try to, because we want to build credible, intensive services around these youth. It's always bad news when we have young adults, right? We have high rates of suicide, we have violence in our community, and so, you know, between mentoring, case management, family intervention, but the tools on the other side. I think people are pretty shocked when they heard 5 offenses. By then, someone's really hurt, right? We've had, you know, the shooting the other day of a 13-year-old boy who was at the bus stop. Someone struck on First Avenue in Burien. I mean, it's so many incidents. It's such a crisis in our community. So again, I really appreciate, you know, the law enforcement partnership on this, as well as all the community providers in the area, including Kent Youth and Family.
Oh, I'm pleased to be here, and I really appreciate the invitation, and thank you so much for having me tonight. And I will say that these things are all important to me. Strong communities and strong families are really important, and I will tell you right off, I live in unincorporated Auburn. I don't live in Federal Way. However, I'm on Federal Way School Board, and 87% of the 30th Legislative District is Federal Way. So when I see a community pull out of something like SCORE, doesn't sit well with me either, and there's a lot of work we have to do about how we're working together across cities, cross systems, and cross sectors. I'll just say my area of expertise and my area of focus is really around prevention. So we don't have to look at things on this end, and it's in education and early learning. So one of the big issues for me is how we support families early and often. This is one of the only countries in the world where you have to do the wrong thing almost to get what you need to do it right. And we have such a diverse community in our South King County, and language access, opportunity education, all those things need to be in place in order to change the trajectory and the outcome. And while we still will have to put money in intervention, prevention is really where our return on investment is going to come. And so that is a huge issue for me. I also will say we live in a community that is a community of color, low-income community, and environmental issues negatively impact those communities far more greatly. And I too come with a public health perspective, and anytime there are issues bigger than any one group can handle it, it's a public health issue. It's just like we've dealt with car seats, and we've dealt with seat belts, and we've dealt with secondhand smoke. So when we look at things, whether it's housing, whether it's issues related to what we're doing with youth and how we're working with them, homelessness, whatever it is, the work that we do together, that's really going to change the outcome. So what I can say to you is my door's open, and I'm just very humbled and proud to sit next to these three women on my left. And although this is my first partisan office, what I do best is look at issues and bringing people to the table and think about where we agree and how we can create a solution. And in the 36,000 doors that we knocked over this last campaign, it used to be that only Woodmont and Redondo was where we heard and where I heard about airplanes and about noise and about particulates. And further and further and further into unincorporated Auburn and east, people are being impacted, specifically by the airport. So it is also an issue that's important to me. Just FYI, I'm sitting on transportation, also on human services and rehabilitation and reentry, which is the new human services and corrections. So hopefully some of these things will come through committee, and we can do some things in this community to change the outcome for all of us. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I just wanted to defer my time so that you could hear from the new senator. But thank you so much for letting me be here tonight and for educating us on your issues. I think I had already heard from the city of SeaTac about SCORE, and so they actually had said that Federal Way had not pulled out, but that they were saying they would pull out if they did not receive the funding from the state.
They provided the year notice that's required under the agreement that we have. So we're essentially operating on the understanding that they'll be leaving after 2019. But absolutely, SCORE's hoping that Federal will stay because they are a big partner.
Okay. And the other question I had was whether or not we're housing felons in this facility, and is that true?
The Department of Corrections does not have inmates serving felony sentences. However, they do have felons who are serving administrative violations, so probation violations. So they're very short-term stays.
Okay.
But if you were sentenced on a felony, you'd be going to prison.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. I just wanted to make sure. And I was speaking with Representative Pellicciati today, and we'll be working on the noise mitigation legislation again this year. And of course, car tab fees is a big deal in this community. I will be on transportation also, and so if there's something that we can do as a state legislature to convene a meeting with PSRC or any other bodies in the meantime, as we're trying to build momentum around more of this partnership around dealing with mitigation, so that we can also help train and educate our partners who are not typically at the table. And that's definitely a commitment I have this year, something I don't think we've totally done in the past, and it would be great to have that calling from the community to ask for that, so that's something that we can provide. Working a little around workforce development, I think it's very important to this community. We're a working class community, and so in the labor community, we'll be definitely looking for more investments around meeting workers where they are. We have a new, we are trying to keep up as the government, whether it's around portable benefits or whether it's around the gig economy, and ensuring that community members, as they are traveling in our communities, are covered through insurance, are being paid living wages, so that they then can turn and spend money and pay their taxes in our community. So that's going to be a high focus in some of our policy committees. And of course, housing. We're all seeing push-pull between either rapidly rehousing, mental health issues in our schools, or ensuring that people are able to stay as they age in place. So you'll see, I think, a huge focus this year from the state
in really trying to invest money, but also working with local jurisdictions to figure out how we can help with that community benefit and what that looks like in your individual communities around homeless and housing issues, because it looks so vastly different in other parts of the state. And so you'll be seeing us really be careful and thoughtful on how that comes back into the local government. So the more you can give us feedback, the better. It's late, and I know we're not done yet, so I'll stop talking now.
Thank you very much. Now it'd be a pleasure to hear from Adam Smith's office. Again, Shakisha Ross.
Once again, thank you for inviting our office here. I know the airplane matter issue is very important to Adam. Lyndall Burvar, spelled Lyndall, is the person that handles the airplane noise issue in the office. She was unfortunately unable to be here tonight, so I came in her stead. She will be the person that you all will be contacting and talking to. It was Christine Nahn, but she has moved on. And so Lyndall Burvar, Bervar, she will be the person. So I know she's been taking lots and lots of meetings about the airplane issue. And some of the people who spoke tonight, I've heard some of your names in the office. So it's nice to put names with faces. But I know it is very important. So I'll take what I've learned tonight and share that with Lyndall. So if there's any follow-up, she'll contact you all directly. Thank you.
Thank you. One thing I forgot to mention over the siting of a second airport and so forth, the PSRC study, part of their argument is that they want to garner a certain amount of data that they can act upon then. And then what was said, what I understood, and I welcome anyone to correct me, is that then they would put it on the state legislators to figure out what to do with that information and how to take the next steps. The interesting thing about it is in that presentation, they cited a number of locations in the state where they already had runways in place. It was Marysville, I think, and so forth. And I thought, really? So you're telling me you can capture all of this information and not even make recommendations as to where potential solutions to this could be? And the answer was off to the next conversation.
If I may, Mayor, the PSRC study was an exercise in futility from the day it started, in my opinion. I'm sorry to be blunt about it, but we did that already. We did it in 2009. We know what every foot of concrete, where it is, how much weight it can take, and how much aviation traffic it could do. So we have the facilities totally mapped, totally understood. What we don't have is the political will to make a decision about the future of aviation in this state. That is a state responsibility, and the state should grapple with it. It has avoided it so far because it is controversial and politically uncomfortable and dangerous. So it's coming to that point because, you know, you can't do double-decker airports, and there's so many people wanting to go to a small airport called SeaTac. It's the smallest international airport in this country, and it's just not doable. So we're going to have to, in the next couple of years, face up, get through that decision-making process. Any effort and pressure that we could have to get there would be welcome.
We are kind of moving along, but my colleagues haven't had a chance to, I don't know if they had any questions that they wanted to ask, but I wanted to look around the table and see if there was, or anything they wanted to add to the conversation. Go ahead.
So, excuse me, we were talking, I mean, all of the things that we put on for you to review are important, but you brought up the juvenile justice system prevention. And I think for years I've had this confusion and ache around how we can spend all this money to put jails and systems in place for juveniles, and yet we talk about prevention. The frustrating thing is that you've got I don't know how many millions of dollars that go into these, because they're private. They're no longer, they're not private. I thought a lot of them were privately run. Okay, so maybe that's a misinterpretation. Okay, so that's my frustration is why can't that money go to truly providing education for what we're talking about in terms of prevention?
I think that's a great question. It's a concern a lot of us have. Washington State has been an outlier in the country for putting kids in detention.
Right.
For a number of reasons, including truancy. And so we're moving away from that policy, and one of the things that I worked on with my colleagues was the community truancy boards, right? Those are early intervention when kids are missing school because there's reasons kids miss school, right? And it can be things going on at home with their life. It could be things going on at school. And so there's a shift where we're pulling the resources out of the court systems and trying to build up the community intervention starting in schools as young as elementary when families are struggling and kids are missing school. So I think there's a very conscious effort to move away from detention and not put kids in detention for those reasons. The other thing we're working on and working with Senator Dinkra on is a different response to trafficking victims. Right now, again, police can arrest and detain. What they really need is a therapeutic response. So we've been meeting with NAVOs and providers in Eastern Washington to come up with a receiving center that actually would be therapeutic for young victims and would be the ability to engage, which can be very challenging with this population. You know, a large portion were traumatized as children, and it's very complex. But again, we're trying to create these receiving centers with therapeutic beds again, so we are not harming youth, right? These kids have trauma histories, they need treatment, they need support, and so I think your point is well taken, and I think what we're trying to do is put a lot more resources into our community and intervene to support kids and families a lot sooner, from prevention to school to really making sure kids are not in our court system whenever possible.
And I just like to expand a little bit on that, because I think on the other side of it is really tackling intergenerational poverty and really understanding what that means, and removing all these barriers that we often put in place when it comes to being low income, poor, communities of color. And we can do better in that regard. And so I think those are the two different ends of the spectrum, and ensuring that we're doing better by coordinating and collaborating and funding the areas of high needs, because that's really where the parental supports come from in order to ensure that our children and our families that are basically living in high concentrations of crisis all the time, who have PTSD, then will eventually end up in the system. And so it's on us to really come to some big, holistic, expensive conclusions, and I'm proud to be on the task force for that. So, more to come.
35 years I've been working in early learning, because I worked with 11 to 21 who are pregnant and parenting teens, and no fifth graders should be a parent. And when we think about all of those things, the school to prison pipeline, restorative practices, restorative justice, adverse childhood experiences, we think about our immigrant and refugee populations coming in, trauma they've experienced. We cannot expect our young people to do anything differently than what they are doing. And oftentimes it's a response that's not about, parents bring us the best kids they have. They didn't leave their better kids at home. But we have to figure out how it is we support kids early and often, and how we support families as well. Because it's not okay still for families to come and say they need help and support. And providing access, opportunity, voice, education, those are things gonna change trajectory on the other end. But we also have to show people. We can't just tell people. We have to provide opportunity, and we have to provide a safe place and a safe space for people to have those conversations and to feel like they will be welcomed back in to community if they do something wrong, because we've all done it. It just looks sometimes a little different now and a little more drastic and dramatic. But there's so much that we need to be doing, just as we think about mental health support and thinking about early and prevention and not intervention, and those dollars will flip.
Thank you, I appreciate that. We've talked about it often, police officers responding, and you're responding to what? it really should be a mental health so I get it, and I'm not sure, I can only speak for myself. I'm more than willing to help in any way I can.
And watch for the True Blood, right? And how the plans for that starts to unfold itself, 'cause I think that's.
Right.
And I know that the schools are needing people to volunteer on the community truancy boards. They need strong community leaders, so I would encourage anyone who might have an interest to reach out to their school district.
Mentorships as well.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Pennington.
So I'm glad that you brought up talking about working with the kids and the prevention and the gun violence and and I'm sure that my colleagues in the police department would echo this. The early learning, the early prevention, because as you guys know, kids emulate what they see. And in my 40 years of working the streets, it used to be when we'd go to a heart attack, that was a big deal, and now it's kind of a routine thing. Used to be when we'd go to a shooting, that was a big deal. Unfortunately, it's kind of a routine thing. And that's a really, really sad commentary to where we've gotten. And Thanksgiving Day, I responded up to Mount Rainier High School to the 21-year-old that was shot, just foolishly shot and killed. And what the irony is with that is that young man was part of a Polynesian group, a dance group that was designed to keep kids on the good path, to keep them away from the violence, to keep their grades up, to allow them to go beyond high school and into college. And it was probably one of the saddest things that I've witnessed in my career, and how his life ended. And I've seen a lot of shootings and a lot of trauma, and that one struck me because, of what he did as a young man, 16, 17 years old, to help other young people. And so I applaud the work that we're doing. It's a big lift, because we've really got to change the trajectory in society that has gone way off to one side. And so, if you have my full support in both of my capacities, and anything that I can do to help with that, because it's really, really disheartening for me to have to have seen, to have that happen to that young man. And he's one of several. The 13-year-old sitting at a bus stop, it's just too damn sad.
I just want to say it is so heart-wrenching, and it's as our community needs to come together and heal from these horrific events. I do think there's going to be opportunities as we look at the prevention for potential partners between the city and the school district. There's a tour where we're going over to Kent iGrad program, and I know Mia so eloquently talked about opportunities, and there's things we could be doing and creating safe places in our community that could be a partnership around kids struggling in school, the labor unions, mentoring, and so we really want to see if there's some kind of partnership. So we will keep you posted and encourage you to join us as we're working through these things.
Just so you know, the Mayor's Roundtable met last Tuesday, and that has representation from Des Moines, Normandy Park, SeaTac. I'm going to leave somebody out, but the bottom line is we are looking at how we can partner with the school district. Because it's funny, because, having served on a school board, they're really kept separate. They're not, even sometimes to where, as electeds in the room, they're not recognized. It's like we entrust them to educate our kids and to try and deal with all the issues that go on in school. But those issues, especially issues around violence or anything else, those are city issues too. And the well-being of these kids, those are city issues too. So we had a really, it was probably one of the more energetic meetings that we had had in quite some time. So we will be reconvening in January, and we will be reaching out to the Highline School District, which covers most of our cities, to see if there's something we can do. There are some simple ideas that have come forward that ran into various gaps. One is just to recognize kids that are doing well in ninth grade, or as they transition to high school, telling them that this matters. You're doing great, and your community's proud of you. Providing letters of recognition to those seniors who graduate in the community. So at least it's, because for some families it might be the first or one of just a few that have actually graduated. So, there are things like that, but there's other things that we can do as well, and that are maybe even more significant. So we're willing to take it at any level.
I want to compliment you for working with the other mayors, because I think that is also a solution. Is we aren't separate cities. We are one community in many ways. And if we don't communicate between our cities, between our police forces, and between our schools, people fall through the cracks. And in particular, I'm hoping that the King County Sheriff's Office will be reinstating the gang unit. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. But get the gang unit back in business and also coordinate on that level as well as on the school level.
An encouraging element, at least, that is the upcoming city manager of SeaTac is a former King County sheriff. So again, we're keeping those connections, working with them. Councilmember Mahoney, and then we have our two legislative advocates that have been listening very patiently. So after you make your comments, I get the impression that by the nature of your work, you do listen very carefully, then you come back with the punchlines. So guess what? Anyway, I'll be looking. I'm going to give the punchline to you guys, but go ahead, Councilmember Mahoney.
So I appreciated your comments. I just had a couple things. I want to talk about the airport. I think you're right, absolutely. Paine Field and Moses Lake are our future, one for cargo, obviously one for passengers. I would ask that if you help champion, and I'll give you an example. So for 24 or additional 13 flights, they had to do an environmental impact statement that took 18 months, right? And they might as well do it for 1,000, candidly, because that's where we need to go. And I would say that they look that way. Also, and to Mr. Edmondson's point, I agree with him that we need to join together to oppose any expansion, and we need mitigation, and we need that in our language. The score, I happened to be at the SAA dinner last night, and Governor Inslee spoke, and he was speaking specifically about the jail and the care, both in the drug addiction, the medical care, and the mental health care. One thing I would say about SCORE is they're one of the best at it, and the values there, it just needs to be financed, and it can be an example and champion. He was actually looking for examples of that, and I had a few minutes with him, but I didn't get to share that piece. He was complimenting my jacket more than I had a chance to. A chance to share with him my thoughts. The last one that we didn't talk about but is in here is the DNR issues. So as a diver, obviously I've really appreciated your support in the artificial reef. What these are life generators, and a lot of times they're so big at removing. And I'll give you an example. In Everett, they removed the fuel dock. Well, there used to be a flourishing sea life population. Well, they removed it to get the creosote poles out so they don't leach into the sound, which is the right choice. but replacing it with actual, like rock or something like that is the key. Because when you take it out, what they essentially did is decimated the population instead of swapping it to a new location. But also in that, there, our Saltwater State Park, a lot of the armor, rock armor that's there, we're opposed to them removing that. There's points where you want to restore the shoreline, and there's others that makes no sense. We have a lot of residents in Cliffside that's very susceptible and would probably be devastated should they do that. And the last part of the DNR piece was we rent sand for a breakwater, and it's, from what I'm told, inconsistent with the way they work with everybody else, and this is no secret, you guys know this. We shouldn't be charged for that, and there'd be a nice way if we could get alleviated that expense. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Wow, nice job. Nice job. You definitely filled that in. I want to, he said no. I want to turn over, Councilmember back. People are asking why I'm not looking your way and you waved me on. So okay. So I'm going to go over to our legislative advocates.
So I'll be real quick because I know we're going long, but Connor Edwards, legislative advocate for Des Moines. And just wanted to say, yeah, the legislative agenda, we're probably going to be trying to meet with you guys on that, particularly with the score issue here pretty soon. We just finalized this one-page informational thing, but we know there's a lot of information that isn't captured in this, and so we appreciate that, and we'll work with you on any questions you have. I know it's a big ask, but big deal, obviously. There are some other issues that we've brought up. The shoreline armoring is one. There are a few oddball issues that keep coming up. One of the things that we're going to be working with the AWC on is increasing the number of slots in the Criminal Justice Commission that are available, and there's just a whole range of smaller issues. There's a concern about how a prevailing wage bill has been interpreted and how that's kind of affected some of the cities really unexpectedly in terms of specifically landscaping, which is kind of odd. But appreciate you coming here, and congratulations on the win, and thank you for coming. So that, Anthony, you have anything?
I believe Connor covered things quite well. Of course, we're going into a long session and the start of a biennium. Happily, the economy is booming right now, and income is coming in considerably higher than what had been anticipated. Of course, at start of biennium, there's a huge wish list of other things that will go well beyond that additional revenue as well. But at least it's good to be asking for the $7 million at a time of expanding economies rather than contracting economies. But certainly still a heavy lift.
Well, I'd like to again thank Senator Karen Kaiser, Senator-elect Claire Wilson, Representative Tina Orwell, Representative Mia Gregerson, Shakisha Ross from Congressman Adam Smith's our district representative's office, our legislative advocates Connor Edwards and Anthony Hempstead. I appreciate you taking time out of your very busy schedules to come meet with us, listen to our issues. You have all been fabulous partners, and we look forward to continuing with that. And I just want to thank you again for coming out tonight. Merry Christmas. And that does take us to the end of our discussion items. The council will now go into an executive session. The purpose of the executive session is to discuss potential litigation under RCW 42.30110(1) and acquisition, sale, or lease of real estate, public property under RCW 42.30.110(1)(b). The executive session is expected to last for 30 minutes. You're all more than welcome to stay. However, no formal action will be taken at the end of the executive session. Thank you.